The AeroMaverick is a name that sparks curiosity in aviation enthusiasts because it connects with different interpretations of innovative and experimental aircraft. When discussing AeroMaverick, one must consider both futuristic concept planes like Airbus's Maverick and small-scale sport or ultralight aircraft such as the AeroMaverick or Murphy Maverick. Together, they represent the adventurous spirit of aviation design, whether in pushing the limits of efficiency for commercial aviation or creating lightweight solutions for personal flying. Exploring these examples in detail allows us to understand how AeroMaverick, in its various forms, reflects the continuous evolution of flight. Airbus introduced the Maverick concept, which stands for Model Aircraft for validation and experimentation of robust innovative controls. This project captured attention because it broke away from traditional tube and wing airplane designs. Maverick instead adopted a blended wing-body configuration that looked more like a flying wing. Unlike standard fuselage airplanes, this design integrates the wings and body into one smooth aerodynamic shape. Airbus claimed that this configuration could reduce fuel consumption by up to 20% compared to contemporary single-aisle jets, an impressive promise in an industry facing intense pressure to lower carbon emissions and meet environmental goals. Maveric's test demonstrator was only about 2 meters long, but its limited flight trials in 2019 and 2020 proved the viability of such a design. The aviation press widely covered it as a glimpse into the future of commercial air travel. Reviews were generally positive, praising the innovation, although concerns were raised about passenger comfort in wide cabins, emergency evacuation procedures, and how passengers might react to sitting far away from the traditional windowed fuselage layout. Enthusiasts admired Airbus's willingness to invest in high-risk, high-reward research at a time when most manufacturers focused on incremental improvements. Shifting to a different context, the AeroMaverick represents another interpretation of AeroMaverick. Built in Australia in the late 1980s, it was a single-seat sports aircraft made largely of composite materials. With a 100-horsepower engine and the ability to handle plus or minus 6 grams forces, it was an agile and strong little airplane. However, it never moved beyond prototype stage, with only one example built and flown in 1987. While there are no mainstream reviews because of its rarity, aviation history sources describe it as an ambitious but short-lived experiment in composite construction at a time when lightweight materials were just beginning to revolutionize aircraft design. Its place in the AeroMaverick discussion highlights the experimental and pioneering aspect of aviation where not all projects reach mass production, but each contributes to the industry's knowledge base. The Murphy Maverick provides yet another connection. This was a home-built ultralight kit plane aimed at hobby pilots who wanted an accessible way to experience personal flight. With a gross weight of about 950 pounds, a wingspan around 30 feet, and power supplied by small engines in the 50 to 65 horsepower range, it offered modest but enjoyable performance. Reviews of such ultralight kits often focus on ease of assembly, flight characteristics, and affordability. Pilots appreciated the Murphy Maverick for being relatively forgiving to fly, though it naturally lacked the advanced performance of larger or more powerful aircraft. Ultralight enthusiasts often see it as a straightforward, fun flyer that served its purpose well. This makes it very different from Airbus's futuristic Maverick concept but equally valuable in the way it brought aviation within reach of ordinary individuals. Looking at the AeroMaverick theme as a whole, the name suggests independence, experimentation, and a break from convention. Whether in the futuristic design laboratories of Airbus or the grassroots hangars of home-built aircraft builders, the AeroMaverick identity carries a spirit of challenging established norms. Reviews across these examples vary depending on context. Airbus's Maverick is praised as visionary but untested at scale. The AeroMaverick is remembered as a bold but short-lived prototype. The Murphy Maverick is valued for practicality in personal flight. Each interpretation has its own audience and its own set of pros and cons. From the perspective of commercial aviation, the AeroMaverick name embodied by Airbus's Maverick could reshape how we think about flying in the decades ahead. Traditional airliners have evolved steadily but have not radically changed in basic layout for decades. A blended wing body not only improves fuel efficiency but could also reshape cabin interiors, offering new configurations for passengers and cargo. If Airbus or another manufacturer eventually brings such a design into service, passengers may find themselves flying in planes that look dramatically different from what we are used to today. While there are hurdles such as certification, manufacturing, and customer acceptance, reviews of the Maverick project show that the industry is paying attention, and many analysts believe some form of blended wing body is inevitable in the future. In contrast, sport and ultralight planes like the AEA and Murphy Mavericks highlight the grassroots side of aviation. Here, reviews often focus on how approachable and enjoyable the aircraft are for individuals rather than airlines. A pilot's review of a Murphy Maverick might mention the ease of handling, the low cost of ownership, and the joy of weekend flying. It is about the personal freedom of flight rather than efficiency or long-haul operations. Such planes do not make international headlines but are deeply valued within their communities. They reflect another type of Maverick spirit, the independence of flying your own small aircraft, often built with your own hands. If we consider AeroMaverick as an umbrella idea, then the reviews can be seen as commentary on how different aviation communities interpret innovation. The commercial aviation community reviews Airbus's Maverick with cautious optimism, aware of the massive challenges but also the potential rewards. The sport aviation community reviews small aircraft like the Murphy Maverick with a focus on accessibility, fun, and practicality. Both perspectives are valid, and both show how the term AeroMaverick resonates with a desire to push boundaries in different ways. Ultimately, AeroMaverick symbolizes the diversity of aviation itself. On one end of the spectrum, giant corporations like Airbus spend billions experimenting with futuristic designs that may one day redefine global travel. On the other end, individual pilots and small companies build light planes that bring flying within the reach of hobbyists. Reviews of AeroMaverick, therefore, cannot be pinned down to a single narrative because the term spans such different kinds of aircraft. Yet, whether it is in the laboratory, the hangar, or the skies, the AeroMaverick spirit is about daring to imagine flight differently. As aviation moves forward, reviews of AeroMaverick-related projects will likely grow richer. If Airbus continues development, passengers, engineers, and airlines will eventually provide real-world feedback on how Maverick performs beyond test flights. If ultralight communities keep refining home-built Mavericks, more pilots will share their experiences of assembly, maintenance, and flying pleasure. The common thread is that AeroMaverick, in whatever form, invites discussion, critique, and admiration because it refuses to settle for the ordinary. This is why the name stands out and why reviews consistently frame it as something more daring than the mainstream. In conclusion, AeroMaverick reviews, whether of futuristic concepts or small-scale sport planes, highlight innovation, independence, and the drive to challenge conventional aviation. Airbus's Maverick earns praise for vision and efficiency, though it remains unproven in large-scale service. The AEA Maverick is remembered as a unique prototype that showed potential but never entered production. The Murphy Maverick remains appreciated among ultralight enthusiasts as a practical, fun plane. Together, they illustrate how AeroMaverick captures the imagination across multiple areas of aviation. It is not a single plane but a symbol of what it means to innovate, experiment, and fly against the grain.